Hey everyone, this is Harsh, and this is Harsh Talks. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be predicting the starting 11 for every IPL team, and we're going to start off with my favorite, the Mumbai Indians, the defending champions. First on the list, Evan Lewis, great acquire off the auction. Next is going to be Ishan Kishan, another young player, very talented Indian. Rohit Sharma, our captain. It'll be Krunal Pandya coming in at 4, where he played last year as well. Surya Kumar Yadav at 5. Kyron Pollard, our overseas batsman and overseas all-rounder. One of the best fielders in the game. Hardik Pandya. Ben Cutting will be our third overseas player and overseas all-rounder. Rahul Chahar, the young spinner. Fast bowler will have Pat Cummins or Mustafizur Rahman, whoever Rohit Sharma seems fit for the job. And I personally think it'll be Pat Cummins, who will get the job done for Mumbai. And then our all-star, Jasprit Bumrah. There's a lot of great teams in the IPL this year. I think one of the most solid teams in terms of bowling, fielding, batting is Rajasthan Royals, and I'm going to predict their team. First off, we have Rahul Tripathi. Excellent for Pune last year. Excellent strike rate, excellent average. We have Ajinkya Rahane, who's now the captain of the Rajasthan Royals over Steve Smith. We have Sanju Samson, and then it's yet to be seen if Steve Smith actually does play. But if he does, he'll come in at 4 as our first overseas player for Rajasthan Royals. Then we have Ben Stokes, great all-rounder, did extremely well for Pune last year. Josh Butler, who did very well for my Mumbai Indians last year. And then Jofra Archer, who's done extremely well in the Big Bash. And then we have, for our bowling department, we have Anureet Singh, who did extremely well for Kings 11. I think he'll do well for the Rajasthan Royals if they select him for the starting 11. We have Jaydev Unadkat, who they paid big money for during this auction, and Shreyas Gopal, and then Krishnappa Gautam will be my last bowler for the Rajasthan Royals. Next, we have the team that always seems to make it to the finals, the Whistle Podu, the Chennai Super Kings. And this is one of the teams that I had a very hard time selecting the starting 11 for, in main reason because they have lots of depth, especially at the batting unit. And my starting 11 will be Murali Vijay at the top, aggressor, very good batsman. I think he's very underrated. He's not appreciated as much as he should be. Shane Watson will be our opener. Did very well for Rajasthan Royals. Had a down season with RCB, but it's okay. I think he'll do very well for Chennai Super Kings. Suresh Raina, one of the best IPL batsmen of all time. Ambati Raidu, who did very well for Mumbai for a long period of time. I think he's been one of the most consistent batsmen, one of the most overlooked batsmen of the IPL era. Next will come in Faf du Plessis. I think he's one of the strong South African batsmen. He has done well for Chennai before. I think he will continue to do well for Chennai. He'll be our second overseas player next to Shane Watson. Next we have MS Dhoni, and he's obviously our captain. Next we have Dwayne Bravo, one of the most excellent fielders of the IPL era. I think he's one of the most excellent fielders in general in international cricket. This West Indian has done extremely well for Chennai, and I think he'll continue to do well. I didn't get to see him play for Gujarat much. I don't think he played at all, but it's okay. He did extremely well. Next we have Ravinder Jadeja, also one of the finest retainees for Chennai this year. I think he'll continue to do well for them. We have I actually had a hard time deciding between Harbhajan Singh, Bajji, who was in Mumbai, and then Karan Sharma, who they paid, I think, 5 crores for. I think that is a lot of money, and they have to give him some playing time, if not all the playing time, as their spinner on the side. We then have Shardul Thakur, who had done pretty well for India, but he has a long way to go. I think he'll prove it with Chennai, and I wish the best for him. Next, we have our fourth overseas player, which I could have selected, and it'll be our fast bowler, and it's between Lungi and Giri from South Africa, and Mark Wood. And I think they might be inclined to playing Mark Wood. However, considering the series against India that Lungi and Giri had, I wouldn't be shocked to see Chennai select him. Next team we have is Delhi Daredevils, and I think this team has had so much potential in the past, but they haven't been able to show it. Don't think they've been to the playoffs that often, but I think this year is their year because Gautam Gambhir is their captain. Gautam Gambhir is not with the Kolkata Knight Riders, but I think he'll go back home to Delhi and do extremely well for them, captain extremely well for them, and I think Delhi got a bargain with Gambhir, major bargain actually. So he'll be our opener with Colin Munro, I believe, will be our first overseas batsman for Delhi, and I think they'll be inclined to using Colin Munro throughout the starting 11. I think Shreyas Iyer will be our third man in. He's done pretty well in the IPL, and I think he'll continue to do well for Delhi. Glenn Maxwell goes from Kings 11 to Delhi Daredevils, and I was kind of shocked that Kings 11 did not retain Glenn Maxwell, but I wish him the best for Delhi, and I think he's still one of the finest batsmen in the IPL era, and I think he'll continue to be. And he's also a very underrated bowler, actually. You should go through his stats last year. Very well. He's done very well for Kings 11. Next man in is Rishabh Pant. The young batsman has not gotten much of a chance for India, India's international team. But I think in IPL he has made a mark, and he'll continue to do so for Delhi Daredevils as he has in the previous seasons. Chris Morris is back. They have retained him, and he is one of the finest investments that any IPL team can possibly have. Chris Morris is a great batsman, great strike rate, and an excellent bowler for them in the death overs. No Zahir Khan for them anymore, so Chris Morris will be relied on to do a lot of the imperative bowling overs in their innings. Kagiso Rabada will be my next man in. He's actually not a bad batsman, and he's obviously an excellent bowler. He's had a very good series against India, and he's had a very good series against this current Australian series, where his ban was uplifted and he basically tore up Australia completely. Vijay Shankar will be my next man in. Vijay Shankar played for India just recently in the Nidahas Tri series. He did not do too well, but I cannot blame him. That final, lots of pressure coming in, and he did not get any batting before that. So I think I wish him the best for Delhi. I think he's going to be an excellent IPL player. He's a very good all-rounder. Next man in will be Mohammad Shami. I hope he recovers well from his accident, and I think he's going to be continuing his success through international cricket and IPL as well. Next man in will be Shahbaz Nadeem, and then one of the finest IPL spinners, I think, and he might be underrated. Some may say he's overrated, but he's an excellent IPL spinner, Amit Mishra. And that's my Delhi starting 11. Next team we have is Kings 11 Punjab. I think this is the most well-rounded team of the IPL. I think it should be one of the most feared IPL teams this year. They're all very good, but I think Kings 11 Punjab is going to be one of the more dangerous teams. Now with Ashwin as captain, they have solidified their batting lineup, and they've solidified their bowling lineup, and now they're an excellent fielding team as well. So we're going to start off with KL Rahul, paid big bucks for in the auction, did Preeti Zinta, and he'll be our opener. I think he came in at 3, sometimes 4 for RCB when he was doing extremely well for them. He's had a great average in the IPL and a great strike rate. And I think he'll continue that form with Kings 11. And he'll help Kings 11 potentially make the playoffs this year. I think they're one of the strongest contenders for the playoffs this year. Next, we have Aaron Finch. However, Aaron Finch will be getting married. So, instead of Aaron Finch for the first match, I think it'll be Chris Gale that will get the nod. And I think he should do very well for Kings 11. I think they got an extreme bargain. And I was very shocked to see that he was not even taken for the first 2 rounds of the auction, first 2 days, and then he was called back. And I think he'll do extremely well for a bargain buy for Preeti Zinta and the Kings 11 Punjab. Next comes in Karun Nair. I think he's done extremely well in the IPL, and he'll continue his form with Kings 11 Punjab. He's an excellent young batsman, and again he'll continue to do so. Next is Mayank Agarwal. I think will be the 4th choice. I don't see a lot of people thinking of Kings 11 Punjab playing Mayank Agarwal, but I think he'll get the nod. If not, I think Marcus Stoinis may get the nod as the second overseas player on this team. Excellent batsman, and so great all-rounder, I think. Next is David Miller, the 3rd all-rounder on my list. If Marcus Stoinis is selected, he'll be the 3rd overseas player. David Miller has done extremely well for Kings 11. I think he's had some down seasons, but he's a destructive batsman, to say the least. Very destructive, to say the most. Yuvraj Singh, UV Paji he's great. I think he'll want to redeem himself because he wants to be part of the 2019 Indian World Cup, the World Cup team, and so this IPL will help him to solidify his position on the Indian team. Hopefully have him selected to the Australia series, and we'll see what happens with that. I hope UV does very well. He has done well for Kings 11, so I think he should continue to do well for Kings 11. Next is Akshar Patel. How can you forget about him? They're only retaining. I think Akshar Patel is one of the finest all-rounders that the game has to offer, that the IPL has to offer, and that the Indian team has to offer. He hasn't gotten so much of a chance in the Indian international team, but he has succeeded beyond the average in the IPL. And I think Kings 11 will be extremely keen to start off the season with a bang with Akshar Patel. Next is the acquire from the auction, Ravi Ashwin. I think Ravichandran Ashwin is obviously one of the finest bowlers, but I think he's also underlooked in terms of a batsman in the IPL era. He's a great all-rounder in tests, but he hasn't gotten, I think, much of a chance recently in ODIs for India. So Ravi Ashwin is going to be the captain. I think they're going to have a great time with Ashwin as captain. Andrew Thai, dangerous bowler, did extremely well for Gujarat, and then he'll be our 3rd overseas if Marcus Stoinis is not selected. And then Mujib ur Rahman, the youngster from Afghanistan. I think he has a bright future. They paid a lot of money for him, and I don't see as to why Preeti Zinta will not select him if Marcus Stoinis is not selected. If Marcus Stoinis is selected, he will miss out on the starting 11. My next team that we're going to be talking about for the starting 11 is Sunrisers Hyderabad. Obviously, amidst the controversy, I will have to take the word of VVS Lakshman in that they will wait for any decision by Cricket Australia and their board to see what they will punish David Warner for. And I have to assume he does play and that he does captain for this team. He has done extremely well for Sunrisers Hyderabad, and I think he'll continue to do well for the Sunrisers. So I'm going to have him as the opener, along with Shikhar Dhawan, as it has been for quite a while now. So David Warner will be our first overseas, and then our captain Shikhar Dhawan will be our next opener. And we will have Manish Pandey at number 3, the $1 million man. Manish Pandey has done well for India recently. I think he will do well for Sunrisers this coming IPL season. Ridhiman Saha will be next. Ridhiman Saha is actually, I think, one of the most underrated IPL batsmen. He doesn't get the respect he deserves, and I think this is why he'll be one of the key components for the Sunrisers Hyderabad team. Next man down is Carlos Brathwaite. I think he's going to be the next man down from Ridhiman Saha. I think he's going to be a very key component for Sunrisers Hyderabad. He's a massive man, massive batsman, great bowler, and an excellent fielder. He led West Indies to that insane final win against England, and I think he might actually do that for Sunrisers. A few games he might be able to finish off for them. Next, I think Shakib Al Hasan will get the call. He'll be our third overseas player and our second all-rounder on the list. We have next Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and I think he's obviously one of the best bowlers in IPL and in international cricket, but he's also underlooked as a batsman. He can bat. He can very much at least give you 20 odd, a cameo at least in any given match. The next is, I think Sandeep Sharma will get the nod as our next fast bowler. I think he's done extremely well for Kings 11 Punjab. He's a very underrated death bowler. Done extremely well for Kings 11. I think he'll continue to do that with Sunrisers. Hopefully they give him the nod. Next is Basil Thampi, our rising star last year. And I think he should continue his very good run. He'll take a lot of wickets for this team. And then next is Rashid Khan. I think Rashid Khan and Shakib Al Hasan will be used as the spinners. And Rashid Khan, obviously, one of the best wicket takers right now. Youngster who has a very bright future, has done very well for Sunrisers, and I think he'll continue to do very well for Sunrisers. And that's my starting 11 for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Next team is KKR, the Kolkata Knight Riders. I think Shah Rukh Khan will be extremely ecstatic for this starting lineup. I think this is one of the finest teams they've had, very balanced. Sometimes they lack in bowling, sometimes their batting doesn't show up. Now with Gambhir gone, they have a new mindset, very aggressive mindset in Dinesh Karthik. He's a composed player, he's a very composed speaker. I think he's a very good captain, and I'm very ecstatic with the choice that they made. I think Uttapa would have been a fine captain, but I think they made the right decision selecting Dinesh Karthik. I think Dinesh Karthik is a captaincy material player. To start off the starting 11, we have Robin Uttapa. I think he's been one of the finest openers in IPL history. He will, I think, continue his run in IPL. He's going to do very well. I think Chris Lynn will be our next man, opening with Robin Uttapa. Will be our first overseas. Chris Lynn, obviously, very dangerous batsman. He can show up whenever he needs to. I think he is injured, but that should not stop him if he does come and play for them. Nitish Rana, Shubman Gill will be next. Can you turn on the laptop? Hurry up. Khushi, turn it. I'll just start from there. Shubman Gill will be next. I think Purva Wankade might get a chance for this young KKR team. I think KKR will opt to use some of their younger players. Wankade might be selected. It might be Shivam Mavi. Shivam Mavi, I think, is an excellent under-19 player, as is Shubman Gill. And then Nitish Rana has done very well for Mumbai last year. Dinesh Karthik will come in next. He's our captain. Obviously, I speak very highly of him. I think he's an excellent batsman. He's an excellent wicketkeeper, and I think he is just one of the finest captaincy material players that Indian cricket has to offer. I think Andre Russell will be next. Andre Russell also has been injured He has a hamstring injury. I think he is working back to play the IPL from the PSL. And I think he'll continue his excellent run in the IPL. He's done extremely well for KKR. It has been an entire season since he has played for KKR, but I think that chemistry is still there with that team and team management. Sunil Narayan will be next. I wanted to put Sunil Narayan as an opener, but I don't think I could bring myself to do that. Chris Lynn is an excellent opener. I think they have batsmen specifically for that job. Sunil Narayan can bat. He can hit when necessary, can play cameos, but is he opener material? I'm not sure. I think Sunil Narayan will be at the bottom, but he can play a cameo if KKR's batsmen do not do their job. And he will be our third overseas player of this squad. Mitchell Starc, dangerous for RCB, and he's an extremely dangerous bowler in general. He's an extremely dangerous bowler in international cricket, in test matches, and he's had a very successful IPL every season that he has played, and I think he will be the next man in. He'll be our last overseas player on the squad. Next will be Kuldeep Yadav, and I think they will give a chance to Kamlesh Nagarkoti, very excellent bowler in the under-19 field, and I think he'll continue his excellent run in KKR. Last but not least is the Royal Challengers Bangalore. RCB is, I think, they have had massive potential, but they haven't been able to show anything for it. Virat Kohli might be wanting to show up this year and just prove that he is an excellent IPL captain. I think his team will want to show that potential that they have. I think they've completely revamped their team. They've set up their bowling unit. They have an excellent batting unit, and their fielding is obviously superb. Virat Kohli does not expect any less from them, from his sides. I think they will select Parthiv Patel as their opener. Excellent opener for Mumbai Indians. I know I keep speaking of Mumbai Indians, but what can I say? All the finest batsmen are now in other teams from Mumbai, including Nitish Rana, who we had just talked about. Parthiv Patel will be my RCB opening batsman, along with Brendan McCullum. I think he'll be our first overseas player and overseas batsman. Brendan McCullum is obviously dangerous. The name speaks for itself. I won't talk too much about him. Virat Kohli will be our captain. Obviously not much to say. He's King Kohli. And next will be A.B. de Villiers. A.B. de Villiers, obviously, not much to say. He's one of the finest batsmen of all forms of cricket. I think he will want to win a cup with the RCB. He has given a lot to this team. He has given a lot to South Africa as well. And now that South Africa is actually doing very well against Australia, want to continue that success with the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Next is Sarfaraz Khan, their retainee. I would not see as to why they would not play him, as they have paid him a lot of money to retain him, along with A.B. de Villiers and Virat Kohli. So they will play him. Moeen Ali, I think, will get a shot with the RCB. Moeen Ali, one of the most excellent all-rounders in English cricket, and I think he'll continue his excellent form with the RCB. I think he'll want to show something for himself to keep his side on this team. Chris Wokes will definitely be on this team, no doubt about it. I think I was going to put Chris Wokes a lot higher in the batting order, but I think the way the batting unit is set up with Parthiv, McCullum, Kohli, A.B. de Villiers, and then Sarfaraz Khan as their retainee, they will want to play Moeen Ali and then Chris Wokes, potentially Chris Wokes and then Moeen Ali, if Moeen Ali is selected, and I think he will be. That's my prediction. Washington Sundar, Ati Sundar, as I like to call him, he's an excellent all-rounder. I think he has a lot to show still. He hasn't shown his full potential. I think he's 10% of his full potential, if that, and I think RCB will be ecstatic. Virat Kohli will be ecstatic to utilize him in his side. Mohammad Siraj, I think, will get the nod. Their bowling has been wavering the past few seasons. I think it is a lot of the reasons they have not won some important games is their bowling. Avesh Khan showed up sometimes, and they just haven't had the proper bowler that they've been looking for. I think Chris Wokes will fill that position. He'll be a vital component to this team. After Mohammad Siraj, we'll have Umesh Yadav. I think he's very overlooked sometimes. I don't see too many people even picking him as a part of the starting 11 for the Royal Challengers Bangalore. I think Umesh Yadav is one of the finest fast bowlers, very fast bowler, and he's done well in the IPL for KKR. I think he'll continue his success with RCB if they do select him. And then we have the Golden Chahal, Yuzvendra Chahal. He's an excellent IPL bowler, and I think he'll continue his excellent run with RCB. He's done very well for RCB. He's done very well for the Indian team along with Kuldeep Yadav, who is on KKR now, has been, and I think he'll continue his excellent run. That is my starting 11 for RCB, and that is my starting 11 for every IPL team. I can't wait. April 7th, and I'll be waiting.